In October 1992, Mr. and Mrs. Tilton, who live at number 32 High Street, Charing, wanted to open up what they were pretty sure was an inglenook fireplace at the back of their sitting room. We knew it was a strong possibility because the house is medieval and would have had in that position what is called the cross passage, which means they had a door at the front and a door at the back. Although the house is much older than the chimney stack which was built in, it was the usual position to put it. It was convenient to put it between the two doors. Well, Mr. Laws was called in and we started to remove the coverings over a number of fireplaces. It was completely sealed on the front and whitewashed over, and the first thing that was discovered was a Victorian fireplace, and that was well rusted and fell to pieces, so that was removed. And then behind that was a lovely little Georgian fireplace, which was also removed, recorded first and then removed, and behind that was a duplicate wall. Well, when the wall came down, behind it was a beautiful 17th century stack, and that was the original stack. There were various artifacts in it, in oyster shells and bits of broken pottery and the ash, and several large hooks in the chimney which were used for smoking bacon probably, or some sort of meat. But 6 feet up and well away from the actual hearth, the fire area, was a 17th century nail placed in between two bricks, and it had been mortared in when the chimney was actually built. It was examined under a very powerful microscope by two conservators who assured me that that nail was 17th century and it was built into the chimney. Now, wrapped round the nail was quite a large piece of handmade rag paper. It had been charred, but I don't think it was meant to be burnt. It was meant to be in the chimney, and it was tied onto the nail with handmade hemp string with little tassels on the end. And it was removed from the chimney, and the paper was found to be too tightly rolled to be undone. It is going to be put in a humidifier, and that will unroll the paper, and then ultraviolet light should show whether there's ever been any writing on it. The puzzle was, what was it? Well, in the 17th century, people protected their houses, much as people do today with burglar alarms, by putting witch charms in various places. They buried bottles under the hearth, and in this case they put this piece of paper, which probably had some sort of protect this house inscription on it, up the chimney. And that, I think, is what we have found, the first one known in Kent of this type of witch charm.
In medieval times, people believed that the charms they placed would have an effect on the house or the occupants. But in this 21st century, these things do not happen. Or do they?
I'm Janet Hackett. My husband and I bought this house, 32 High Street, in 1997. We spent a year doing it up, and in the meantime lived in Monk's Walk. And we bought the house from somebody called Jane Moss. We finally moved in the autumn of 1998. Unfortunately, the owner who had sold us the house took with her the witch's charm, which we knew had been found in the chimney. We then moved our goods into the house, and we came with our cat, which had been living quite happily in a temporary home in Monk's Walk. But she refused to live in the house. We had improved the garage, and she took up residence in the upstairs area of over the garage, a sort of barn. She refused to come in and eat here. She refused to come in the house, full stop. Time elapsed, and the woman who had sold us the house, Jane Moss, moved, and finally moved to London, to Ealing, to live with her daughter. And then she decided to return the witch's charm to us, which was wonderful. She returned it in the summer, and it happened that I was in France and speaking to my husband after I had placed it in the chimney, and he said to me, "By the way, the black cat has returned to the house. She's living there quite happily. I feed her, she's getting on with the dogs, we have no problems at all." Now I wonder if that was because the witch's charm had been returned. You can make of it what you like.